Hi guys.
United for life. Well, this is not my Man U jersey.
We are kind of matching, but not quite matching.
Not deliberate. I almost thought my t-shirt was wearing red.
The man is not. He cannot really represent his club,
Whatever.
And I am. And last night we had a very sumptuous match.
Please, this is not a sports talk show.
Winners. Okay. Anyway,
whatever.
It's not a sports show. Exactly.
But
there's some kind of celebration in the land from certain quarters, of course. So other quarters not quite celebratory anyway. And I'm sure everybody knows I'm speaking about the great big fat elections. And about that, I mean, a lot of stories about the election because, of course, I think at the moment it's the number one thing on most Nigerians' minds. To be honest, not every Nigerian, because there's people who do not care about these things. Exactly. I don't know about moving on, but who do not care about these things. But it's the big one, and I think for us it's quite relevant that we speak about I think somebody shared a screenshot of Burna Boy's exchange or his response to people asking him to say something about the elections. Of course, as everybody probably knows now, if you follow this kind of news, the man was really quiet until people started to make certain comments, and then he made a point saying he doesn't know why people are so interested in what he has to say about it. Very incredibly, to me at least, tone deaf response to what I think is a legitimate question to ask of Burna Boy, considering his activists or his truth teller posturing across a number of songs. I have always maintained that I always felt Burna Boy wasn't the real deal, to be honest. And in one sense, I blame him. In another sense, I don't blame him. I think that in the times we are now, it feels like probably just the way entertainment is. Entertainment is it's cut off, I think. It's a little bit removed from the average Nigerian's issues, problems. It's, of course, connected entirely with our need to party as a people. But when it comes to, like, the real thing that disturbs us, that affects us, I think entertainment is a very, very... It's not even connected. The only person who seems to have been, well, at least of the major artists, seems to have been Burna Boy, right, But now it feels to some people, and I have to agree, I have to think that I'm kind of among them, even if I've never really put a lot of whatever on the man's words, to be honest. But it feels to other people that this man is mining ideas for his music, selling it to people who would either give him awards or give him whatever it is he wants, maybe money, maybe prestige, whatever it is, or maybe even give him relevance, And then the fact of the matter is he doesn't really care, because I think for anybody who is political, the centerpiece of whatever it is you're talking about as a Nigerian is the elections. It's the central thing to a democracy, And so suddenly we are there, and my friend is like keeping quiet. Did you see the part where he said that? He was talking when somebody was like, "Why do you not keep talking about Nigeria if you will not whatever?" Then it's okay. You will not start thinking about China. Very.
So, always, Burna Boy. There was one time, I don't know if it was 2 years ago. I know 3 years ago, technically speaking. NSAS, that's NSAS period.
Yes, okay.
Even before the whole NSAS protest, Burna Boy was vocal around that situation, about things that were happening.
No, he wasn't vocal.
No, let me tell you. Remember when he said, I think he did. Then remember when one of his songs there, when he put out one, I don't know which of the albums, where he now said, when they now went to burn the central bank in Abuja, he was now saying something about, I don't see it now. I don't see as they go.
Yes, when the video where he was laughing. Yes, I remember. Yes,
so it stemmed from when he had an opinion. He said something about maybe the government or something. Then people were now trolling him for what he said or so. And then later, he said he was going to stop talking about it. I'm not very sure. I don't have the details, but I know that one time he said, because of the way people now, the backlash that he got for what he said or his opinion at that time, people now said, okay, no worry, now go suffer, now continue. He now stopped talking. Yeah, so I feel like that was part of why he didn't. But then again, when you said you felt like it was, you said he's singing about all those things that were unbelievable to you, right? Or
yes, I have never really
believed those things. I probably will agree to an extent, but even when it comes to Burna Boy's music, I also feel like his background, his even his mom or his uncle, and then the whole affiliation to Fela from the uncle to I don't know if I mean yes, I mean we have to say with and his mom or even the family, they were close to Fela's music. They were close to Fela. That's his uncle, his mom. They were close to that family or to the music, which is also what I feel like. They, I don't know if it was his mom or his uncle that
His granddad.
his granddad. I mean, what's his name? Donije. Benson Donije. That maybe introduced or made him take more or tap more from Fela's music or somewhat ideology in some of the records, you know, which has actually worked for him. I mean, right from time we all know that some of the biggest songs that Burna Boy had done over time were tapped from Fela's music, both from either from the beat or from the lyrics,
of course, yes.
You know. So if now he did not, I mean, he didn't say anything. He didn't want to, and then I think he was just caught in the whole because I don't know why. Personally, I don't know why people just feel like you must drag somebody to come and talk. Like sometimes, I understand that yes, he makes music or he has made music around around the struggle, so to speak, even down to one of his latest Common Person and stuff. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the documentary for Common Person. Is it Common Person?
Not Common Person.
Sorry, what's that song again?
Oh God, what's the name?
It
was about the one about Podakot and the suits.
I stumble when I drink or something. Anyway, we'll put it on the comment on the on the screen. That's the song, the documentary that was about how many minutes, you know. It was a struggle song or a struggle message, you know, about what people are going through, the suits, the bad water, the air pollution, everything that was happening or that's happening in Port Harcourt. So he sort of addressed all of that. And he tries to do that in his music. Sometimes, even when you say, like, the way you're saying that, it's unbelievable or not sometimes it's not believable, or, you know, so to speak, like a fraud. But no matter what it is, I feel like, I mean, if you don't believe it, that you think that he's just putting a front that is not really. I mean, do you understand? That's how I feel, or how you perceive it. But I'm not saying that he's genuinely or strongly as deep into it as the way Fela did back in the day. Or the way Sheung is very angry and vocal about those situations, even the way someone like Tubaba has also represented in that same front. But I just feel personally that I don't think it's a must. Like, you cannot force a man to come and speak about what he does not represent or what does he not believe in.
That is where I kind of disagree. Because that's where I kind of disagree.
Okay.
I don't like to say anything is a must, but I like to say that it's kind of obligatory. That for me, it's like weighing the reward with the risk. Burna Boy has received way too much of rewards for hovering around these issues. For him to be incredibly flippant about the kind of weight we would assume that his words would carry. The fact of the matter is not that people, at least during the NSAS thing, before people started to say, where is Burna Boy? They're thinking about this stuff. And remember, during NSAS, Runtown was there, Falz was there. Both of them are musicians, you get? And both of them, I don't think have received, maybe except Falz, have received a lot of reward from singing about stuff like that.
I mean,
wait now, Burna Boy's album, Twice As Tall, the one that won the Grammy, has a song with Chris Martin. At the time, I was even thinking to myself that it's a very potent song, but I was thinking to myself that this guy is very clever. That song was not exactly about, in quote, Nigeria, not about like the black man's plight in like a racially divided world. That seemed to be more to what she was saying, which of course probably worked well considering the fact that he had Coldplay, Chris Martin on the song, and he will start getting the Grammy, which he eventually got. I'm just saying that this guy has received a lot of awards, a lot of whatever from it. When something like this happens, when there's an election, I think the onus is on you to say something. You shouldn't be dragged. You don't need to be dragged to come and say, You know what? Because I remember the very first post I think I saw that he made was very much like in the spirit of, oh, make no talk, say, and no talk. I've been seeing my name around there. Let me just say something. For me, it's just like, okay, you have made a career out of this thing. Don't blame on your life. Nobody's asking you to come and carry placards or whatever. Oga, you have your Twitter fingers. Let us hear you say something. And look at it. People also say the same thing about Davido, about Wizkid as well, about all of the, of course, our main stars. But remember, nobody has been dragged as much as Burna Boy. There is a reason why he is the one who has received a large amount of these things. Everybody knows Wizkid, even if, of course, during NSAS, he did his own performance there. I feel like he's doing something, you know. But the fact of the matter is that Burna Boy is the one who has reaped the most out of political kinds of music. And when the centerpiece of politics in your country happens, you are nowhere to be found. He was nowhere to be found at NSAS until people started to shout, and then he said he was with his mother, and then did that whole billboard thing. Them again, the same thing again this time. Until people started to shout before he showed up and made this very flippant post. So my point is, you can't don't criticize Nigerians for expecting us, for us expecting somebody like this who has reaped so much, who has got so much from talking about these things, to not finally put his Twitter fingers where his singing mouth has been.
So Oris,
that for me is like the problem here.
Oris, so can we connect his silence in quotes to the fact that he has also dined with devil?
Has he?
With the devil. I mean, there was a time Governor Wike of River State invited him. They had like a grand homecoming for him when he won Grammy.
Yes, when he won, yes.
They probably maintained their friendship after that.
Okay, good.
So,
I mean, and by the way, he actually even received some kind of pushback for that.
Yes.
Because I remember that they gave him land and 10 million or something, and people were saying, why did they accept? And then he was saying he didn't really accept. It was one of those things, exactly. Yes. But for me, the point is that, okay, I hear you in this whole idea of, I don't think that should stop him from saying something. Because again, he's not leading. This guy is not somebody who was expecting to come and lead us physically to Wike's house or anything. And again, this was not even the governorship elections. Buhari, as far as I know, did not come and give Burna Boy anything. Publicly, we haven't seen Buhari and Burna Boy get associated in any way. You get? So I'm not sure what exactly it is that how he's compromised. I think for me, just a case of nonchalance, indifference to really what is happening. Because remember again, we're in a country which is why Fela was special. Fela was an elite boy. His family was always an elite family. He went to England to study, came back and everything, and yet still had that Okalakuta where he's bringing people who are underprivileged to his place and taking care of them. You know what? Burna Boy too is also of the elite. Of course, the issue with him and Davido maybe it's the question of who is more elite and who, whatever it is. But the fact of the matter is that in a country that's incredibly poor as this, Burna Boy belongs to the elite. This guy, frankly, is not somebody that the pains that the rest of us feel. You don't have fuel, you don't have lights. The roads are tricky for you if you are in the bus or in the keke or even in your car, but your car doesn't have a great shock absorber. You get? These are not issues that I think day-to-day Burna Boy faces. Burna Boy has a small problem in his neighborhood. Has a big problem at Cubana. The next day he's out of the country. Bros, if you and I have a problem at Cubana, the next day we are in jail.
Speak for yourself. Speak for yourself. I know something. I know people.
This is also part of the problem. James is also part of the elite. What's part of the elite?
Anyway, I don't say I'm part of the elite. I'm just saying,
part of the elite.
If he goes there and look for trouble and think I'll go to jail with him, I won't.
So anyway, my point is, this guy and James Silas don't have the same problem like rest of us.
Guy, not joke. He's joking.
So it means that eventually it's cut off. And so that's one of the points I'm making. I'm saying now that you hear it all the time. A politician who was living in your neighborhood wins a senatorial or whatever seat, moves to Abuja, and instantly forgets about where he was in. They're talking about certain things there. Because his life has totally changed, he no longer is even aware of where he came from and how bad it is for those people in that particular place. People like Burna Boy don't even have that original. I mean, these are people who were there and taken out. Burna Boy doesn't even have that original experience. So when you see him sing about these things, it's not something that he's personally very conversant with, but he can look at his environment and speak about and sing about it. But when it comes to living the things he has sung about, I think there's a huge disconnect. And it's just a function of, it's not malice or anything, it's just that this guy doesn't have the problems. He doesn't. If there is no light in Burna Boy's house, he's not the one who's going to go and look for fuel to go and buy. He's not the one who's going to carry the jerry can or drive his car to. He's not the one. It's somebody else who's going to do that. You get? So when you've outsourced a lot of these issues, outsourced the solutions to those issues, and it's no longer who is directly interfacing with them, it means that there is a huge chance that when those issues actually come to the fore, it is not you. You won't have the presence of mind to want to address them. I think that's the thing with Burna Boy. And of course, we also know again that we're also in a country where a lot of the elite as well, whenever things like elections are coming in, their plans is not to really vote. It's to leave the country because they expect maybe there may be violence or whatever it is. Let me just be out of here. Burna Boy was not in the country when this thing was happening. I feel like that's the kind of thinking that goes on in these people's minds. So I'm not saying it's out of malice or blah blah blah. It's just that this guy just doesn't have this experience. Anyway, we are taking too much time talking about one Burna Boy.
Let's go to talking about trolling.
And the elections.
Yes, and the elections. Mr. Macaroni was also also received death threats.
Yes,
so
he has said yes. He received.
That's for somebody who even was vocal about
exactly
the situation, and then he received death threats.
Death threats.
What do we say about that?
So it's the same thing. It's the same thing in a way. This Macaroni I've always felt is like salt of the earth. It's like kind of the rest of us. Not like them, of course, like me and the rest of us.
Like us.
Anyway, so so Mr. Macaroni, I think they say it in school, back when he was in school as well. He's always had that kind of activist kind of leanings. So I think
the
that for him,
union or department's union, one of those things, head or some president, yes.
So so he's always had that, and he's kind of carried that into his professional life as well. You get, and so people like that, there are all of these unfortunate consequences of speaking out. I'm saying my thoughts, if you're going to compare it, I would say that Mr. Macaroni is more in the line of fire than a Burna Boy is. Do you know a Burna Boy stays? For all you know, that guy would have snipers on top of his building. You get so. My point is, Burna Boy is a lot safer than Mr. Macaroni would be in the Nigeria that we live in, and yet Mr. Macaroni is going to be the person who is speaking about these things, who hasn't even gained as much out of speaking about these things as Burna Boy has. That's my issue with the inequality about this particular. That's why I'm really not pleased about Burna Boy's decision to say, oh, you know what? Okay, I speak about China instead. You get that kind of a thing. So Mr. Macaroni is really unfortunate that he's getting death threats, and I'm hoping that it's one of those really harmless things. Again, there's this popular New Yorker cartoon that on the internet nobody knows you're a dog. So maybe the idea is people, of course, under the cloak of anonymity, people can say all kinds of shit. You see a man with probably a bank manager somewhere with a wife and 3 kids, well adjusted. Go and check his Nyaland history, his Twitter history. If he doesn't have a front-facing account, you get there. He might be saying all kinds of shit. That dark part of everybody's mind can come to the fore when you don't have anything to lose, so to speak. So I'm hoping rather that is the case with Mr. Macaroni. And even if that's not the case, I hope he protects himself in whatever way. That's legally
the
possible.
only way he can, yes, legally possible. Because I was saying to when we were discussing earlier that I don't think that the threats that he got or the message that he's getting will go beyond that DM and email that he received.
Hopefully.
However, we know that last election was quite the conversations were quite toxic. Anybody that had an opinion about any political party or any candidate, you find another person who had a strong opposition against whatever you'd have said.
I think this happens every 4 years.
No, but this time around the toxicity was too much.
I think it's everywhere.
I just feel like the toxicity was too much this time around. But even at that, someone like Macaroni is coming from a place of personal experience, a place of unhappiness, a place of pain in the way he has reacted or the way he has gone about this. The same both for him and for someone like Fowles, who were I will leave it to him, on his own part, because he was majorly a victim. He was brutalized. Fowles was not arrested or brutalized,
exactly.
But he was brutalized. He was humiliated. I saw the videos. I saw the pictures.
We all saw it.
So I can understand how he just feels like, no, this government does not care about young people, does not care about him, does not care about the interest of the people, which is exactly how he has responded or reacted to all of this. So I feel like it's coming from a place of personal experience and a place of pain now. But even at that, I don't see any reason why somebody wants to be threatening another person about over how they feel about a situation, which is why, talking about protecting himself, I feel like something apart from the fact that he has put it out in the open, it's important for him to actually go to the police.
Yes.
And police, by the way,
file a report.
yes, file a report. But the police again, these are the people that
Arrested him
and
brutalized him,
dealt
like
with him,
years ago.
brutalized him and manhandled him. So sometimes it begs the question, where would Macaroni run to? Where will he go to?
When the state seems that it's against you.
I mean, from what he's saying, that he's not going to back down. He's going to keep voicing out. He's going to keep speaking for everybody as far as his strength and to last breath.
I hope he continues, and I hope, of course, no harm comes to
him. Yes.
For me, it's more important that we figure out a way, which is why these results of the elections, at least a lot of the inappropriate things that happened and obviously illegal, but in a crazy country, things that happened means that I was hoping that we could get some actual change, such that it's no longer the people who were always in power who are in power. Some kind of, you do wrong and you get rewarded at the polls. Unfortunately, it seems like that hasn't quite happened. So let's just hope Mr. Macaroni is fine and no harm comes to him. And let's hope that Burna Boy also gets his own more dragging.
I mean, it's still extent talking about dragging. We talk about fans dragging celebrities, but we also have celebrities that are also going at each other.
Dragging it.
Chioma Chukwuka and then what's her name? Georgina.
Onuoha. Two Nollywood
actors or actresses, going at each other as well, based on their own personal,
Yeah, but I've always felt like, this is just something I've said all the time. Every 4 years in Nigeria, especially on social media, certain bonds are breaking and certain newer bonds are kind of forged, but a lot more are broken. That's the honest truth, because politics, I don't know. I mean, on the one hand, it's something that's happening somewhere above us, On the other hand, it affects our lives, Maybe affects the kind of money you can probably earn if, according to minimum wage is set by the government. It affects the amount of infrastructure that you can work with. It affects a lot. It affects us a lot. Then people who now have personal relationships with those people who are contesting and who eventually win or lose. Also, there's also that part as well. So it's not. So that's why I was saying earlier to James, yes, that I don't think the people who react harshly to these things are not emotionally intelligent. I just feel like politics is so important that I totally get it when it overwhelms our nominally intelligent responses to certain things. It's so important. So people like Chioma Chukwuka and Georgina Onuoha, people who ordinarily they are not really people who have any social media kind of noise making controversy or any sort, but politics do that to you, So every 4 years there's this huge rift. I was saying a while ago that back when Facebook was really big, especially among writers like myself and people of my generation and older, I used to remember that almost every 4 years there was a big fight amongst writers. Big fight. And some of the bonds that were broken 12 years ago, as we speak, we are never ever gotten back. And why? Politics. So let's just say I get it. But yes, I feel like we've spoken too much about politics. I mean, you have to understand, you have to bear with us, man, because
as much as I want us to go on to another topic, just lastly on politics, Banky W lost his
election. This is a very tragic season
outcome, actually.
Exactly.
I mean, at the end of the day, he was causing the fire.
Yes, for many reasons, and I think Banky is just like, minus the fact of the violence, the INEC's incredible incompetence and corruption. I think the next unfortunate thing that has happened is Banky W's loss. In a regular arrangement, there was no way Banky was supposed to lose again this year, because he had done. I feel like the thing that he needed to do, which was move to a major party, was the one step that was remaining for him to finally get the seat he was looking for. Unfortunately, his decision to move, to change parties to something that was more mainstream, that would give him a fighting chance, and finally even securing that ticket, was unfortunately undercut by events that I think were out of his control. Unfortunately, he now belongs to a party. Mainstream means that, of course, mainstream attack as well, He now belongs to a party where people have lost a lot of trust in, and are supporting people, a different party, a newer party, not a newer party,
so to
that
speak.
also feels like it's more progressive in its thinking. And Banky isn't part of that party. So somebody who is totally unknown. I mean, because it feels to me like there are only 2 people maybe in that particular election band that were really known, himself and maybe Obani Koro, who I think contested as well or something, And this was probably his big chance too. Unfortunately, as a result of the LP, Peter Obi, the need for people to like say, you know what, we are rejecting the old school and bringing in the new. Banky W, whose name is not on the ballot, of course. What is there? Exactly. What is there is the party caught in the fire. So I don't know. I just think I was thinking about it a few days ago. I was like, I just imagine how his home would be like. I think everybody, his wife, the actress, his family, everybody probably had assumed that okay, he had taken the step that needed to be taken, the practical step. It was not something that people thought it was maybe nice, but they felt it was needed. It's not a nice move, but it was a needed move if he wanted to be taken seriously as a politician. Did it finally, and look, see what happened. I don't know, man. It's tragic. That's pretty much what I can say.
Okay, we wish him all the best and also hope that he doesn't give up and tries again on the next one. Lastly, we've taken up time.
Politics. I'm sorry, guys, but yes,
this is what politics does. So Burna Boy, Starr, and Victony set to perform at J. Cole's Dreamville Festival in 2023. I mean, one of the things we're talking about, Burna Boy, understandably, Burna Boy is African giant, so to speak. Exactly. I mean, but I think some of the comments we got from feedback was why Victony, why Starr, how did they arrive at getting picked for these performances?
I figured it out. Yes, I figured it out finally. Sorry. I mean, I was talking about earlier. We talked about this on radio, by the way, and I was saying that I think the Victony connection must have come because. Maybe because of the success of Soweto on TikTok, but also I just realized while I was there again that Victony actually has a song with Burna Boy on the Love Damini album, and I think maybe that connection also what got him in. But
what song exactly did you do?
It's a song called Different Sizes. It's not one of the popular ones.
Different Sizes.
It has, yes, but it hasn't. The song hasn't blown, so to speak. You get, but there's a song with him. I was thinking about it and then I checked. I said, okay, actually they have a song together. But also, I also think, probably what happened with Ayra Starr is we are in a period of inclusivity. So the same reason why a lot of African artists are getting into these American and Western spaces is the same reason why an Ayra Starr will also get considered. Because I'm sure they are looking at, okay, maybe Burna Boy. Of course, Burna Boy is, I think anybody who is Googling today looking for somebody to feature as an African artist is almost going to always arrive on Burna Boy. Because he's hard to reach. He has a record label there. He has the Grammy. He has featured in so many, in a bunch of movies or soundtracks over there. He has collaborated with some of these artists. So he's just really there. The American consciousness, exactly, consciousness in their head is there. But I think that probably they might ask him or his management, who else can you recommend? We want a woman. As we speak now in Nigeria, there is probably only 3 female artists that anybody who is not like one of us, who probably like industry expert and somebody who is based here would know. Thames, Tiwa Savage, Ayra Starr. So mostly on the continent, of course, it's certainly Tiwa Savage. I think she's the biggest female artist we have. Thames, of course, the past 2 years has been incredibly good to her, and she's gotten, even if she's not popular across the continent, in the West, she's probably like our most famous, well-known name now in the West. Ayra Starr is coming up, and she's probably like 3rd in the terms of outside of Nigeria, of course. Yes, maybe in the hierarchies, yes. But although you're talking about hot artists, she's number 1, by the way. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about people who are just in the popular space globally. She probably would only come up if you are really thinking hard. So if you ask a Burna Boy, who would you rather feature? And they tell you, you have to bring a female artist who is hopefully is young. I think Ayra Starr is the only other person who has any other sort of visibility to the West. I think she's the only other person that at least all of us here will be thinking of, okay. I think Burna Boy will be like, I'm not sure about Tiwa. Tiwa is already big, so to speak. There's no really need to this will not do much for her. Thames, you may or you may not, or you may or you may not. But I think Ayra Starr, certainly, if you're going to do anybody a favor, in quotes, a very big quote, by the way, Ayra Starr is the person you probably want to throw this kind of assistance to. That's what I think. So I think probably that's kind of how Ayra Starr got into the whole mix, and Victony got into there because he has this song and because he has a song with Burna as well.
So quickly, a show like this J. Cole concert
Yeah.
that we're talking about here, if what do you think it will mean to these artists?
It doesn't mean much, I think, but I think it means just two things: a little bit of foreign exchange if they get paid. I hope they get paid, But also it means that J. Cole's fans are fans who are. It's not like Drake's fans where you can be a woman somewhere and you're just like Drake music and how you hate everywhere. J. Cole fans are actual fans, so to speak.
Yes.
They really fuck with the guy.
Yes.
This is really their guy.
Yes.
You get, so it means that you are singing to a group of people who will be passionate if they like what you do that particular day. There are people who probably go and look for you somewhere, follow you, listen to your music if they like what you do. And again, Jake was also thinking about the sound as well. Which kind of sound works with what he makes? What would his fans kind of like? And I feel like he's figured it out. And I feel like, yeah, these people are actually people who would, in a very weird way, connect a lot with people who like J. Cole's music. So I think, so I think for them, it's a little bit of money. Of course, not great fat money. It's an artist who is doing this, not like an establishment or anything. And again, they have like a chance to get a bit more fans in the West, which we should not downplay. Yes, exactly. Underplay.
All right, guys. What do you think
one more thing. Yeah. Sorry. They say Chris Rock is going to finally address the Will Smith slap in an upcoming, I think, the Netflix special. I have to tell you, as a big Chris Rock fan, I am looking forward to it.
But what do you expect? He's going to tell us how hot the slap was, or that he's
going to tell
us how he feels?
He's going to make a joke out of it.
But it'll be nice. I'm actually looking forward to that as well. I was like, oh wait, is he going to? So I feel like for this story to come, or for them to give us that information, or that's not. It's not particular information. Just like
it's a teaser now.
A teaser.
It's a teaser now.
That's what it is. So that means they have said something about it already. And it's trying to cash out with.
Of course.
Instead of just coming to class
both of them, Chris Rock and Netflix, are trying to cash out because I'm sure that he's charging them a
premium
chunk amount of money for this.
Premium.
Because of course, first things first, you are Chris Rock, which means you are talking about the top three artists, comedians in the world, And again, you are also valuable for this that has happened. This big fat thing just around, and the Oscar is about to come up by I think next weekend.
Yes.
So yeah, this is.
And he has not spoken about it.
Yes, exactly. At least he has not spoken about it on a big platform like this. So in fact, this is, I'm looking forward to it so much.
And it's coming out. Is it not sometime this March?
The special?
Yeah, the special.
I don't know the
date. Okay, but it's fingers crossed, really.
Massive fingers crossed.
We can't wait to hear what he has to say. But yes, everybody's going to smile to the bank at the end of the day.
No, exactly.
And Netflix will smile to the bank.
It might even be good for Will Smith, who knows?
Let's see. I mean, it depends on how he reacts, what he says about it.
Exactly, yes.
I mean, if he downplays and it's funny to everybody.
Because even Will Smith, Will is coming out. Is coming out little by little.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw he had one skit where did you see that skit?
No, I didn't.
There's a skit where a girl was saying something about how, do you know that if you pick up any item and you look at it really critically or something, it will tell you what it thinks about you or something.
Okay.
And then after the video cuts, they show Will Smith and he picks up his Oscar.
Damn, okay, you get the joke.
Exactly.
Guys, please, what do you think about the story we talked about today? Everything we talked about today, what do you think? Tell us know in the comment section. You guys, you just watch and you don't really tell us. You don't really, is it that you just agree with us and you just move on, or what exactly? Guys, come on, man.
If you want to fight,
yes, feel
let
free.
us know.
Insult me. Just drag my beard. I don't care,
Don't insult me, Sha, but tell me what you think.
If you insult me, I'll insult you back with you. Just saying. But subscribe to our channel, most importantly.
Yes.
Share our content, like our content, give us thumbs up. That sort of puts us the algorithm. Well,
it helps us.
Wherever it helps us, let more people see our video. But yes, over that, we love you guys. Thank you. We'll catch you on the next one.
Exactly.
I'm James.
And I'm Maurice.
Maurice.